Welcome to Ask the Funeral Director with Mike Voyajakis. Brought to you by Voyage Funeral Home and Crematorium. Now, here's your host, Brad Wilder. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Ask the Funeral Director with your host, Mike Voyajakis. I'm Brad Wilder. I guess I'm the host, and you're not.
You're a little mixed up tonight, are you?
No, not really. I got to turn your microphone on if you want to talk, but we're not going to put you in the picture just yet. We'll bring you in just a minute, Mike. A powerful episode tonight on the way for everybody, connecting end-of-life issues with the rising control of the global elite and how to stand for truth, freedom, and faith in the face of it all. Now, welcome to Ask the Funeral Director. As I said, a lot of people just coming on and getting signed in. Today's not just about death. It's about, a death of freedom, and if we stay silent. We're going to explain how the funeral profession really teaches you about control, government overreach, and the systems behind the scenes. We're going to talk about what's coming up in 15-minute cities, digital IDs, surveillance, and what we, as humanity, can do about it. It's all coming up right here on Ask the Funeral Director after this.
I'm Michael Voyajakis of Voyage Funeral Home, a licensed funeral director and embalmer in the province of Manitoba. Let's talk about simple cremation, and we'll talk about the price differences. At Voyage Funeral Home, simple cremation, $1,680, no hidden costs, no surprises. At Voyage Funeral Home, you get one thing for sure: continuity of care, treating your loved one as we would our own. What's included in simple cremation? Taking your loved one into our care from the place of death. Once we have your loved one into our care, we transfer to and from the crematorium. Voyage Funeral Home and Crematorium owns and operates a state-of-the-art cremation facility. We include all your administration fees, provide you with your Canada pension forms, allowing you to apply for up to $2,500 from the government, provide you with your surviving spouse benefit forms, allowing you to apply for up to 60% of your loved one's pension. We help you put an obituary together in the Winnipeg Free Press, the Winnipeg Sun, are absolutely free on our website. Continuity of care, family owned and operated. Voyage Funeral Home and Crematorium. When you're thinking simple cremation, think Voyage, $1,680.
All right, welcome back. Fighting the 2030 agenda, death, freedom, and war for truth. It's something that we've been concerned with for many years, Mike. We're going to get into that and a lot more tonight. We're going to talk about digital IDs. We're going to talk about things that, I've wanted to talk about on this show for quite a while, but it all ties into death and all of this stuff. So
Notice I tied it into death.
I was happy about that. I was like, we're going to have a show tonight that's going to be topical, and it's going to be about death too. Boy, oh boy, we're lucky.
Not only that, this is going to be a very educational show.
It is.
Something you should do right now is share this show. This show needs to be seen by a lot of people. People who are not believers, people who think we're still conspiracy theorists, people who don't believe this is real.
Yeah, that's true.
People say to me all the time, Mike, what are you talking about? What's wrong with you?
Why you talk like that, Mike?
Mike, you have no common sense. But little do they know, as you're sleeping at night, this is happening
in the cover of darkness.
In our bedrooms.
In the cover of darkness.
And you know what?
It's amazing.
It started with way back when, the SARS breakout and all the other breakouts they had, and finally a COVID breakout when they got it all correct and right, and the lockdowns. And that was all trial periods, because there's more of that coming. And we just need to be prepared. How do we be prepared? We educate ourselves today for peace of mind. Tomorrow, I'm going to go to the comment section here for a bit.
Sure.
Because it is on fire. Oh, we got a new first place person.
Hey, look
here.
at that. Janet
Larson. Hi, guys. Steve Bage. I talked to Steve on the phone this afternoon.
Did you?
He was with Al Bueller.
He was.
So Al Bueller finally came down to my house and fixed my fence. But there was a problem. He took off his shirt. And the neighbors phoned me and said, hey, can you get that guy to put his shirt on? He's scaring my kids.
That was the picture that Steve had today, was a picture of him without his shirt on again.
Steve had a picture of him without a shirt on.
But you know what
too.
was interesting? Why is he coming out of Steve's house with no shirt on?
I don't know.
Maybe
we need to call him shirtless
Bueller. You guys aren't liberals, are you?
Kathy, tickle.
Yeah, tickle.
Dan Ross from Ross, Manitoba. Hello, everybody.
Michelle Ann Stengel Place. Good evening. Happy Wednesday. Looking forward to the show. So
Mike
are we.
Mazur, isn't he usually, where is he usually?
Flying J.
Flying J. He's in Winnipeg today in Transcona. Well, it's almost like being at the Flying J. Way
Almost.
out there.
Yep.
Way out there. He probably drove his truck.
Gord's on, but he's not first, not second, not third, like 20th.
Gord, what happened? Jeez. Debbie's on from Tabor, Alberta. And Barb.
Yeah.
Hi, Mike and Brad. Al Bueller. Good evening, Mike Wojciechowski and Brad Wilder, and everyone else from me home.
I'm not wearing a shirt.
Me home near Beausejour or Manitoba.
Nikki Sunshine says, hello from me. Finally got a few moments to watch from La Broquerie.
Wow, all the way down. La Broquerie. A big hello to everyone. Hope your Canada Day was, happy Canada Day.
Oh, yeah, you too. Did
Are
you
we
celebrate?
supposed to celebrate Canada
I
Day
don't know.
now? I wish people would fight for Canada as much as they celebrate Canada Day, because I was driving around the city and went to Selkirk, Manitoba, went to, to check some things out with Sharon, and there was like hundreds, if not thousands of people there. And I'm thinking, only if these people would stand up for Canada in their heart as much as they do go out to Canada Day to see fireworks.
Yeah, let's all get together on Portage and Main, and let's.
Yeah, we could do that now. We
yeah,
could walk
can.
across Portage and Main.
We'll block the traffic.
I heard there was a pedestrian hit there the other day.
I heard that too on Friday.
Not too sure, but ambulances were on the scene. Randy Medwid. Hello, Mike. Brad.
Hey, Randy.
From Toulon, Manitoba.
You bet.
Of course, good old Heather is on the show. Hey, Josh Voyajakis.
Look at that. That's your son.
Hey, Josh, maybe you should come on the show. I mean, literally on the show.
Right here. We got a spot for you.
Steve Bueller says, Al, nice tan. Oh, man. Well, we're gonna get into the show. Susan Alec, hi, Mike, Brad from Wayne, Susan Alec, and everyone else.
Hey,
Happy
wait,
Hump
you
Day.
say hi to Christina's last name.
Chaladopoulos?
Yeah, don't you know how to say that? Isn't that a Greek?
Did I say that wrong?
Is that a Greek
Christina?
name?
Well, yeah, but I mean,
What's up?
try to say a Greek name.
Chalapapadopoulos.
I was in grade 6 and I finally learned how to spell my last
Did
name.
I say that right?
Chaladopoulos.
Chaldopoulos.
Maybe she could break it down to us in like
Chaladopoulos. Something.
So we're
Tough one.
gonna get into our first video because we have a lot going on tonight. Remember, share, like, and follow the show. Tonight's an important show. We want to get it out to as many people as we possibly can to get this message out. And there's some powerful videos that we're gonna place tonight too. First video. This has been going on in Sweden for a long time. They've been testing the chip, which is coming to a neighborhood.
Chip. What do you mean by chip?
Chip. It's
The guy's name is Chip.
The chip that they're going to be putting in your wrist. The
Oh, is
implants.
that like this?
The implants.
Is that like the star they put on certain people way back in the day?
Yeah. So Sweden and Switzerland have both been on trial basis with the chip that they're putting, microchip that they're putting. It's an implant, obviously, that goes in your hand, and they've been doing this for years now. But as of last year, I believe it is, they changed it.
They did, eh?
They changed it, and they got a new chip now. And I want to just tell you a little bit about this chip before we get into it. Once you accept this chip, first of all, is this Revelations in the Bible?
Maybe.
Because Revelations 13:16 says that you will get the chip on your right hand or your forehead. And if you get that chip, if you don't get that chip, no man shall buy or sell. So
Well, that's
is
exactly
this-
what this is about.
And then once you get this chip, I want you to know it's linked to your digital ID, essential system, your currency, everything that they're doing. You're basically locked out of society if you don't get this chip. But the Bible talks about that. So are we living in the days of the Bible? Is this something that's going to actually happen? The system is set up for surveillance and all kinds of things on us. If we don't have this chip, we are in trouble. We're going to have to run and hide. And my question to you is, if this is the chip that the Revelations talks about in 13:16 of Revelations, would you get that chip placed, that microchip placed in your right hand? Or are you going to run and hide? Are you going to and try to avoid it? It's a big question because it's something we're going to have to face because all this is coming to digital everything. We're going to play this.
Right here in Canada.
Yeah.
Like this isn't just Sweden or Switzerland or Davos or anywhere else. This is coming to Canada.
We're going to play this first video and sit back, relax, watch this video, and
It's just a couple of quick minutes.
you'll ask yourself the question as you're watching this video with microchip implants.
The most cutting-edge thing at Hannes Huerblad isn't the phone in his hand. It's the microchip actually in his hand. The tiny implant is the latest advance in a biohacking technology that is steadily becoming a part of normal life in Sweden.
We have created a new implant, which is not a chip, it's a full device where you can add different lights, different vibration, different functions. Sweden is a very tech-literate society. And I think this is the main explanation, really, why a lot of Swedes are adopting chip implants.
Swedes haven't been shy about upgrading themselves with the new version. Thousands already have microchip implants that they use in their daily lives, waving their hand to gain entrance to the gym, confirm their ID or make payments. A short moment of pain not putting them off becoming part Swede, part machine.
This event is an implant party, simply where ordinary people can show up and get a microchip embedded under their skin. The biohacking movement in Sweden is hosting them all over Europe, but it's at home where they get the most willing recipients.
I think it's really cool. You don't have to carry any keys or anything. It's just your body. In maybe 10 years, everything will be in your hand.
In Sweden more than anywhere else, the future is already here. The national train company SJ has around 2,600 people signed up to use microchips instead of train tickets.
Did you see that?
And no need to mind the generation gap. 18-year-old Felicia and father Magnus still bear the scars of their new implants. Student Hannah Herving is also freshly chipped and now just needs to program it to open doors. Although importantly for a future career, it does already connect to her LinkedIn.
Some people say I'm mad that I don't know if it's safe and all that, but people have been putting these chips into animals for 20 years, so I'm not worried about that.
The long-term goal is for the new chips to help provide medical care in remote communities. They're already getting under the skin of the Swedes and may soon become just another normal part of modern life and of the human body. Paul Rees, Al Jazeera, Lund, Sweden.
Well, there you go, Mike.
I
Get
said,
your chip. You got yours yet? Let me look. Oh, no, nothing there.
this is the left hand. Left hand. It's supposed to be in the right hand.
Oh, is it?
This is set up for the beast system. The
Yeah.
beast system is surveillance, digital slavery, and worship of power.
Tracking.
Worship of power to the government.
That's correct.
And basically, what happens is that you lose everything. And what the government is trying to do is be our god, and that's what they're trying to do
Are
with
you
digital.
saying you won't submit?
Absolutely not. Not going to happen. And I don't think a lot of people watching the show. But this is definitely a sign of the times. Why it matters? Accepting the chip could mean pledging alliance with the system, which replaces God. Removing free will. Can you imagine? Removing free will. But I want you to know how this is going to work. And I've talked to young people about this. As a matter of fact, I brought it up to Brad today. I said, Brad, check out what they're doing in Switzerland and Sweden. And to his surprise, they're doing it. But the young people I talk to say this, and this is how they win us over all the time. It's convenient. I don't have to carry my keys. I don't need a wallet. I don't have to worry about having a driver's license. I don't have to worry about losing my identification. I don't have to carry a bank card or money on me. So what they pass this on is convenience. So they make it sound like it's going to be convenient for everything and anything that you're going to do. And that's the whole point of it all. If you don't have this chip in your hand, you're not going to get medical. You're not going to be able to drive a car. You're not going to be able to do any shopping. You're not going to be able to spend any money, because that's why they're moving to this digital currency that they keep talking about.
CBDC.
That's right. And we're going to talk more about that. But this is how they sucker us in to things like this. They make it sound convenient, almost like they made COVID sound like, oh, if you don't get vaccinated, you're going to kill your grandma and your mom and your brothers and your sisters. If you get vaccinated, it's 100% safe and efficient and effective. And then a couple weeks later, they came back and said, oh, well, we made a mistake. You still could get grandma and grandpa and grandma and yourself sick again. It's all about convenience. They make it sound like the golden dream, walking the stairway to heaven. And this isn't what it is. Revelations clearly tells us what this is. And I, for one, never thought that I would live in Canada at this time with a prime minister that we have that's on board with all this kind of stuff, who's part of the World Economic Forum. And then now we're living it, now we're in this country, and now we have to think about our children and our grandchildren and only wonder what they have to go through because, don't forget, they sell it on convenience, just like the kids in school.
That's right.
Oh, come on in and get vaccinated. We don't need your parents' permission. But we're going to talk more about that.
Yeah.
MAID and other things. We're going to go to our second video and keep your eye on this, talking a lot about the World Economic Forum.
There's something we're not being told about our upcoming elections in the UK. Our two major parties have been compromised and are undemocratically transitioning us away from shareholder capitalism to another political system. This short story begins with Klaus Schwab, the executive chairman of the World Economic Forum.
We are working closely together with governments from around the world, including all G20 countries.
His exclusive elite members, called stakeholders, include the heads of all G20 countries, from the US and UK to communist countries like China.
What we are very proud of now is the young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, that we penetrate the cabinets.
After penetrating our cabinets, Schwab and his stakeholders have enacted a 10-year transition to another political system, which Schwab designed.
I pioneered the stakeholder concept.
Called stakeholder capitalism.
Stakeholder capitalism is finally becoming mainstream.
This single global authoritarian system provides the stakeholders unprecedented control over our companies and lives.
The Chinese model is certainly a very attractive model for quite a number of countries.
Promoted on the cover of Klaus Schwab's book, stakeholder capitalism's slogan is propagated by the heads of all G20 countries and other powerful stakeholders.
People and planet, people and planet.
In the UK, Prime Minister and stakeholder Rishi Sunak has already made stakeholder capitalism's credit score mandatory for large companies.
We're announcing the UK's intention to mandate climate disclosures.
Sunak's opposition, Keir Starmer, is also a World Economic Forum stakeholder. It doesn't matter which party we vote for, both have a
stakeholder responsibility in accelerating the transition
to stakeholder capitalism by enacting its Marxist and tyrannical policies.
This is the best time for leaders to work jointly for the world to become more inclusive, more sustainable.
If you've wondered what's causing these strange events, it's because we're witnessing a cultural revolution, a social movement manufactured by tyrants.
Create a stronger inclusiveness.
To drive a shift from the bottom up to a more inclusive political system.
You have been promoting the stakeholder concept.
The era will be inclusive for them.
Other powerful UK stakeholders include Boris Johnson, Matt Hancock and Sadiq Khan, as well as the head of the BBC and our media regulator, Ofcom. They've been indoctrinating us to believe narratives about them acquiring totalitarian authority are dangerous right-wing conspiracy theories.
What can you do if someone you know has fallen down the conspiracy theory rabbit hole?
As well as manipulating us with propaganda, the stakeholders have been cancelling and censoring anyone who shares the truth.
Under new online safety laws, conversation and discourse is being shut down.
To discover how stakeholder capitalism works, Schwab's full plan for transitioning us, and what we can do about it, watch my feature documentary series, Stakeholder Communism, for free at yellow.forum.
Well, Mike, there you go, buddy. That's
communism for free.
Communism for free.
And if you got anything out of that video, which you should have, one thing that caught my attention right away was Trudeau.
Yeah, of course, Klaus is all over Trudeau. It has been for years.
If you wonder why Canada is being abused and used because Trudeau and now our new Prime Minister, part of the World Economic Forum, they have an agenda. You look at our mayor in Winnipeg, you look at our premier. Here's what happens. They're all getting paid out. If you don't do what they say, they don't give you money. They hold money from your province, from your city. So either you're on board or not on board. And what we need to do in the near future is when we elect people.
Sounds kind of like America.
Yeah.
Donald's doing the same thing down there.
Well, it seems like Donald is Trump is actually
He's on the right side of the thing.
he's a pain in their butt.
He is. He's on the right side of law.
And Donald Trump seems to be causing all kinds of trouble for them, which they don't like. And it's people like Donald Trump that we need in power here in Canada. People that stand up for Canadians, who care about Canadians, who will put Canadians first, their health, their children, their welfare. And that goes for our premier and next mayor of Winnipeg. A mayor has a lot of power. Power to say no. Power to say, no, we're not going to do this to our city. And
you can also be bought out.
No buying out. Know your next mayor, know your next premier. Get rid of the council that's in there right now in our province anyways, and make change. But we're going to talk more about that. But
change
right now,
is always good.
We're going to get into the nitty gritty of all this stuff. And again, good time to like, share, and follow the show because it's interesting, it's educational, and it's something we all need to hear, and especially those people that don't believe a word that we're saying.
Yeah, that's right.
And every day of the week, I still get people saying, that's just a big conspiracy. Come on, it's technology. It's like cellular phones. You mean the cellular phones that track you 24 hours a day? The cellular phones that listen to your conversations?
Yeah.
The cellular phones that can do all these things to take away your privacy? Did you know that they could go into your phone now and they could delete things or add things or take things away or put things on that they want?
Yep, the apps have full control.
And it's crazy because when they talk about, cellular phones are just, they're technology. They're good. Well, they're good up to a point. But they do track you. And it is surveillance. But that's only the first part of surveillance. We got more surveillance coming our way. And you can only hope and pray that, and we need to pray for our leaders.
We do.
That somebody doesn't shoot Trump or try to kill him because of who he is and what he stands for and how
he's not our leader yet.
And how he's aggressive enough to say no when the time comes.
Do you know how this originated, Mike? All of this stuff? Do you know where it originated? It came out of the United Nations. The Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs. Now, they're marketed as climate justice, equity, and smart cities. And sustainability backed by the World Economic Forum, of course, and the global elites, the stakeholders. You know, I'm a stakeholder in Canada because I tell you what, when that front line gets set up, I will be there and I will be putting everything on stake.
Stakeholders, we should talk about that. What's a stakeholder? Those are people that have money in place. Partially. And it's a win-win for them.
Yeah, it's not just about the big global elitists that are filled their bank accounts and their big rich things like Zuckerberg, and you got Bezos in there and a bunch of others, right? Bill Gates. It's not about that. It's more so about, well, a bunch of things. And I'm sure we're going to cover them in the show here because there's just so much to get to. Klaus Schwab, Yuval Harari, and even the idea that you will own nothing and be happy is just one of their languages of peace and prosperity and the future for these clowns. And they've got this idea that we're just going to go along with it. And I mean, that's just so far-fetched.
But you got to understand how they're going to make that work, Brad. You own nothing and you'll be happy. So eventually people aren't going to be able to afford their mortgages with interest rates going
That's already happening.
high. And what happens is, you locked into a mortgage for 2 or 3 years. Your mortgage comes up and the interest rate is something you can't afford. It lifts up your payment by $2,000 or $3,000 a month. And eventually you have to give it up.
True story.
And the government will take it away. And it's funny because people think they own their homes. People think they own their properties. Here's what happens. You miss 3 payments on your house. What happens? They take it away from you. You miss your property tax payment. You don't cut your grass. They don't. There's all kinds of things that happen where cities and governments move in to take your stuff away. And it's really sad that that's happening right here in our province as we speak.
It is 100%. And, there's things that they're implementing from the Winnipeg metropolitan region, which again ties into the WEF or the World Economic Forum and their travel and tourism plans and their development index going back to 2024, which you can see on the screen there. And some of that plan is very intricate. They've kind of covered all the bases here, and they think they're really doing society justice. But I'm not so sure that I want to live under that rule or that guise. Are you?
It's happening in Winnipeg with fourplexes.
It is.
There people. You can have a $1 million house, and the city of Winnipeg allows people to put fourplexes up and pack it with people. I mean, on the way to St. Andrews, where I live, driving out there, it's taken me double the time now because the highways are so packed with people that they're doing that on purpose. They want you to put your cars away.
Yep.
So get used to the system. The system is broken, but everything that's happening is on purpose. The perimeter highway was made for speed. Is there speed on the perimeter highway anymore?
I went 30 kilometers an hour today between Pembina Highway's overpass to the river, and it took 45 minutes today going 30 kilometers an hour, if that. It was still packed.
So let's talk about the system.
Well, the system is pretty intricate. There's a lot of stuff there. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. Do you think you can live that way? Because what they're doing is now obviously rolling this stuff out, and people don't believe it. Of course, you said that. The system is rigged. The courts, the cops, and the control, of course. Courtrooms weaponized. Judges rule against citizens challenging lockdowns, mandates, digital ID. Peaceful protesters charged. Antifa rioters released. Good police officers retiring early. Enforcement based on politics, not justice. Pastors arrested for praying. Repeat offenders released hours after assault. It's a catch and release society. Soft on crime DAs. BLM riots praised, freedom convoy condemned, criminals out, truth tellers in, and that's where we step in.
And the court system is broken. You know, the catch and release system is out of control. Why? Because they're doing it on purpose. They're causing chaos on our streets. Everything that was good is bad. Everything that's bad is good. And I'm shocked at what they're doing. And our court systems seem to be corrupt. And it seems like, again, you know, you riot for freedom.
Yep.
And you get arrested or you get trampled on by a horse or you get beat by police officers. But yet people could go to the streets and wave their flags, cause destructions, smash windows, throw things at police officers, and nothing happens.
Nothing
happens. People come to this country, they don't respect the Canadian flag or the American flag. They rip it, they burn it, they spit on it, and the consequences are nothing.
They're stopping traffic in downtown Toronto to pray with 1,000, 2,000 Muslims praying down on their knees on the cement, and I can't believe there's no police. Like,
so when does
no
Canada,
bouncy castles there?
When does Canada say enough's enough?
I said enough's enough a long time ago,
but the authorities, if we were to do that, if you and I were to go close off Portage-Main tomorrow and have a rally of some sort, we would get arrested.
You think? Maybe we should try.
We would get arrested. But
we could get a permit.
But you need a permit. It's hard to get a permit. And to block off Portage-Main would be a really hard thing.
Oh, no, you know the mayor. He loves you.
And soft on crime is right. I mean, you look at my brother Kyriakis, his murderer, in and out of jail, catch and release, and finally promised to appear. How do you get a guy like that to promise and appear? He's a dangerous offender.
I'll bring him into court that day for you.
As a matter of fact, the RCMP, when he was loose, said, do not approach, call RCMP, very dangerous. And he was, because he killed my brother. Has he been in front of a judge yet? Not till November. A year and some odd time after killing somebody, you stand in front of a judge. It's really, really disgusting what's happening. And you look on our streets, part of the plan. The homeless people.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's villages and villages of homeless people, and people are afraid in their cars. You pull up to a red light, and there's panhandlers there, and they're aggressive, and they want your money. And
they'll reach right in your car, some of them.
And there's laws. And why aren't the police acting on those laws and cleaning up our streets? Why isn't the new police chief saying, listen, we need to clean up Winnipeg. We can't have panhandlers on the street. Get the police officers who are on shift to arrest them and get them off the street. But no, the other day I seen a police officer having a conversation with a panhandler, laughing and joking around, and then just driving away.
You know the people that you drop off gift cards to? They're the same people.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, like, we can't be that way. We've got a lot of different situations, a lot of mental health problems, a lot of drug problems on our plate right now based on what the country has done. Justin Trudeau's...
That was through COVID. COVID caused so many problems in this world. And a drug issue, COVID. Yeah. Mental health issues, COVID. People on the streets, homeless, COVID.
Death,
COVID. So...
Stillborns, COVID.
And stillborns,
goes on.
I'm seeing so many stillborns that we can't even keep up with it. See, 15-minute cities are framed as convenience.
That's right.
Everything you need. Zones of control, digital checkpoints, restricted travel. Get ready for this. Real cities, Oxford, UK, Edmonton in Canada, Paris and Melbourne, credit style enforcement.
Yeah, we're talking like all kinds of stuff with cameras and digital technology and that's
digital
a big part of it.
currencies. People don't believe digital currencies are going to happen.
That's true.
And
They
there's your digital cameras, and people say, well, how are they going to control this? All around the city of Winnipeg, I don't know if you've noticed, digital cameras everywhere.
Yep.
And what are they for? Why are they there? They're
Well,
there.
I don't want to tell you.
Because 15-minute cities are on the way to Winnipeg, and people, again, like everything else, oh, it's convenient. They're not doing anything to us. They're not going to lock us up. We could just go from place to place and stay in our neighborhoods, and it's fun and it's exciting until you want to leave your neighborhood.
That's right. So you were talking about CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, and that's something that, again, they have the power to take away from us, right? Like, once you've got that in place, it's going to be tough to go to the store if they say you can't go to the store. Programmable money, Mike?
And that's really scary because, like anything else, and it's funny, you don't pay your cable bill these days. Nobody comes to your house with a wrench.
They turn it off within
and turns it off.
seconds.
They turn it off in a second from their computer.
Yeah, click,
and your computer's off. So if you think this is something else is coming to your home soon, is digital water meters.
Smart meter, water meter, yep.
So guess what? When you're using too much water, why are they going to spend, think about this, why are they going to spend millions of dollars putting new smart meters in people's homes?
So I got a great question for you, Mike. You see, one thing here. Outside is where they're going to have to place that smart water meter. But we still have one in the basement hooked up.
They're going to take that away.
I'm not sure they're going to be able to come in everybody's houses and do that. I think that they're going to be hooked up. It'll be interesting if you had both of them in your home and then compare the numbers to make sure that they match.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be we're going to shut the one off and we're going to put your new one on. It's
Well,
another step. It's another step.
Good luck getting to mine. It's pretty buried underneath the stairs there.
It's another step you need to know that's happening. Why are they doing it? Why are they putting digital water stuff? We have water systems in our places.
I'm all taken care
Why?
of. I don't
Because
need
they want control. They're not going to phone you and ask you how much your water bill was. They're going to just send you a bill and say, this is what it is.
Yep.
If you don't pay it, they're just going to shut off your water because it's now digitally controlled.
So where do we go from here, Mike?
So what is digital identity? Digital identity is a lot, right? It's something that controls your health, your finances, access to vaccine passports, which is going to be coming in the future. As a matter of fact, the University of Manitoba just said to people that we need to see your passport, your digital vaccine records before you can come into school.
So like a biometric consent form sort of thing, yeah?
And that's pretty scary that now in 2025, after they know it's all around the world that the vaccines have caused death, the vaccines have caused injuries, the vaccines have caused mental distress on people, and there's people struggling and suing these vaccine companies every day of the week, and people still believe what they want to believe, and they think that there's no harm being done.
Canada's already piloting projects like that, aren't they?
They are. Canada is doing that, and it's scary that Canada's doing that by mass surveillance, social monitoring, AI-driven facial recognition. So look at there it is there. So this is what's going to happen in the future, like it or not. They're going to know where you are, what you're doing every second of the day. Look on the camera. This is real. This is digital surveillance that's taking place in other companies. It's online tracking.
Yep.
You know, what you buy, what you say, and is monitored and judged. The merger of big tech and big government. This is what it is. Tied directly to financial institutions, media, and healthcare.
That's right.
This is all tied together, and what finishes it off is the chip we talked about at the beginning of the show.
100%. Big tech mergers.
And, I got to ask you this question. How do we know this is real and not conspiracy? How do we know it's real, not conspiracy? How do we know that Brad and I aren't just sitting here, shoving what?
Well, so on the WEF's website, guess what? They've got all that information listed there for you. We could take a look at that.
So you could go right to the World Economic Forum's website, and everything that we talk about is listed. And then you'll see that the country, all across the world, these leaders are on board.
Hey, look who's there. Oh, gee, imagine that.
Look at that.
Imagine that.
Anybody recognize this person that you voted for? Sitting in a sign, with a sign behind him, World Economic Forum, and proud as ever.
That's not even a sign. That's the backdrop wall at Davos, Switzerland. That's Klaus's home, where he eats his steak and he drinks his beer, and he doesn't eat the bugs.
And they talk about the Great Reset.
Yep.
Build back better.
That's a good try on the German accent. Klaus is way better.
World leaders quoting the Agenda 2030 everywhere.
Yeah.
Actually, city planning documents, contracts, surveillance laws, big media tech, they're all on board with this.
Yep, the banks.
The banks are on board with this. And eventually one morning you're going to get up and it's going to be digital currency.
Yep.
And you got to wonder about that. What happens to your money? What happened? You know how the Bible talks about one world?
Yeah.
One power? One leader? Do you see that coming with all the things that are happening in the world? Wars on the verge of breaking out, Trump stopping a few of them in this last little while. Are we safe as Canadians?
Not a chance. I don't feel safe at all. And you know what? We've got these guys that are right-hand men, or henchmen, I like to call them, of Klaus's, like Yuval Harari that I mentioned earlier. This is a quote from him. It says, "We no longer need to imagine a God above the clouds. We can become gods of data."
And that's a big thing. Gods of data. So they want to be your God.
Yeah.
They want to control everything about you. You know how they say, the Lord sees everything, hears everything, knows everything.
That sends chills, doesn't it?
It sends chills when you hear the World Economic Forum saying, we could become gods of data, meaning they want to become your gods. And your gods, the data gods, will tell you, well, if you don't get vaccinated, if you don't get the chip, you're not part of our world anymore. Because we control everything you do. And if you don't have what we want, see ya. Is this disinformation? Is it propaganda? Is it fake news?
A little bit.
The Bible talks about this, and
a little bit until it happens.
It's
right?
very real.
People don't want to believe that it's going to happen. So we say it is, and we know it is, but is it? It's been a very long time that we've been saying this. It's been almost 3 or 4 years that we've been talking about this.
But as time moves on now, we're seeing evolution.
The implementation is happening, right?
Take place.
Yeah.
Like it's happening every day, and you're hearing troubling facts come out every day, more and more.
We talked about the buses earlier, and that's one of the things: the bus routes, the bike lanes.
And people are blown away by the. As a matter of fact, there was a church in the news in the Winnipeg Sun that they want to take away a portion of their property and make it bike lanes. We live in Manitoba. You barely see anybody on bikes. I have nothing against people riding
3 months
bikes.
of riding a bike in the summer. But the rest is winter.
There's right ways of doing things and wrong ways of doing this. There's infrastructure where you could put bike lanes, but they want to cut off our lanes that our cars are in. Because eventually...
What?
Eventually...
What are they going to do?
You're not going to have a car.
No way. No way I'm going to have a car forever. I'm going to drive everywhere I want to go.
You'll own nothing, but you'll be happy. Just remembering that. Remember that.
Did you hear about the
important.
money? I read this in Kevin Klein's Winnipeg Sun today. It was, I don't know if it was front page. It should have been, if it wasn't. The Manitoba government is spending received $43 million to implement transportation options up until 2050.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about that for a minute, because I said to my wife, I said, what happens here? What do you think they're allocating that money for? She goes, well, they're changing the transit system. I said, that's already done. Well, bike lanes, they're already done. That's all paid for and done. What is the $43 million for?
They're going to buy vehicles.
That's exactly what they're going to do.
Buy vehicles.
That's exactly it. They're going to buy vehicles, and they're going to make you rent them from them, and you're not going to have anything to drive. And they're already starting to say that by January of 2026, they're going to start pulling off the cars. Anything before 2000 will no longer be allowed on the road. So MPI is going to show up and say, you're not going to register that car because it's
and don't forget,
2000.
Carney also said that by 2030, no more, it's electric vehicles or nothing.
That's correct.
So this is how they get rid of your
But Trump
vehicles.
changed it all in the States just the other day. He said, no more EV mandate, no more of this BS, and we're going to move on.
I got a question for you. I know Canada Day just went by, and I know we have proud Canadians. But do you think eventually Donald Trump knows what he's talking about when he says we're going to become the 51st state?
I do think he knows what he's talking about. Now, do I think it can happen? That's the question. I don't know whether King Charles is going to allow that.
But at what point do we get punished so much that we have to give up and surrender and say, hey, we can't take this anymore?
So
I mean, Trudeau and Carney are both completely, you saw it yourself, sit on the World Economic Forum.
Yeah. So First Nations there's First Nations out there who sit on our side of this fence, and then there's others who I think have, I don't know, I guess you have to follow the money to think that way, but maybe they've already received their big lump sum. And that being said, I think First Nations have a chance to stop this too. What do you think?
Well, I mean, First Nations are powerful people in Manitoba.
I think so too.
If they would stand up alongside with us, basically what we need to do.
There is one chief that's on our side. I know that for sure.
We need to be united. We need to be united as one.
Stand tall and one.
And we need to fight this. We can fight this, and we're going to get into this too. It's not over yet. But Terry wrote something here that I wanted you to read, Brad.
Sure.
Something about a government building here. So I just want to see. What is?
Oh, that is. When I worked in a government building, I learned about Building Energy Disclosure Project. And it says here it's rolled out to all government buildings to track water and electricity use with a focus on calculating carbon emissions. The program's goal is to benchmark energy performance and reduce environmental impact, another way to calculate tax. It's starting with government facilities, but plans to expand to businesses and eventually the public. It's real, and it's on the government website for all the details.
There you go. And that's coming. And I mean, if you have a comment, put a comment on there. And I think Terry just put that up there. But listen, folks, this is all about control. Get used to it. Get ready for it. And I know people mention God. And I, for one, walk in faith. I walk in faith every day of the week. And I believe that God protects his people. There's no doubt about it. But at the same time, we can't be stupid. God gave us a brain.
That's right.
And we can make decisions. And you could take the left, you could take the right. Which path are you going to walk? Some people will say, the heck with it. I'll just get the chip.
Now we're lying.
Some people will say, no, you could beat me to death like they did Jesus, and I will die not accepting the number of the beast.
That's might have to happen. Look, you see that on the screen there? What do you got there?
What do you got on the screen now?
Well, take a look at that picture.
Oh, Edmonton. Well,
that speaks volumes.
Hello. For people, there's people that say
that's not happening.
There's one guy that mocks me on Facebook all the time when I put my posts on there.
No, just one?
And just one that stands out. He was a friend of mine, years ago. And then I just look at him and I go, come on, brother, wake up. Wait, do you not see what's happening in the world? Are you that stoned every day of the week where you're laying back in your chair? See, that's why the government legalized all these marijuana shops.
That's right.
Let's keep people stoned. Let's keep people drunk. Let's get people addiction, and nobody will care.
They'll stay home. They'll set the CBDCs. They don't
I'm
care.
Go home tonight. I'm going to smoke a joint. I'm going to sit on my couch.
And I'm going to put a chip in my hand.
I'm going to put a chip in my hand because it's going to make it easier for me to get in my house when I'm drunk. Like, it's convenience.
Hey, Mr. Drug Dealer, how do I pay you with this chip in my hand to get my drugs,
Well,
man?
you can't buy drugs illegally anymore. You're going to have to go to the set up marijuana shop.
The government marijuana shop.
I want you to know two things. The government put people in jail for years and years and years for selling drugs.
Yep.
People spent many, many days, months and years behind bars for selling the very drugs that the government is selling to you today. That goes for alcohol. That goes for gambling. That goes for all the things that were bad that people spent time in jails for. The government is now stepping in and taking control. And now the government's in the death business. So let's talk about Edmonton implementing 15-minute cities. This isn't something that's a joke. It's something that's happening.
Yep.
It's something that Edmonton people are kind of going, what?
Do you know what cities are actually implementing this first?
Cities that are around
Parliament buildings.
Parliament buildings.
Yep.
And, of course, Winnipeg's around a Parliament building. And it
has this perfect ring road that goes right around the city with a really nice big barrier they're setting up on the south perimeter so you can't jump it and get out of Dodge.
So for those people that think we're conspiracy theorists and think that this is just a big joke and Mike and Brad and everyone else doesn't know what they're talking about, well, it's right here in Canada already.
Go to the Edmonton City website and you'll see it for yourself on their webpage.
So-
They're going to make it look all rosy and
I talked
smiley
to
and
somebody
great.
the other day
but-
about that. I told him to go to the website. Guess what he said to me? Well, yeah, they have 15-minute cities, but they're not doing anything you said. They're not tracking our cars. They're not saying you can't leave your neighborhood. They're not saying any of that stuff that you're saying. They're just calling them 15-minute cities because they're convenient. You know, you
Yeah.
can shop in your area. You can go to the doctor in your area. You can go get a massage in your area. Whatever the case may be. That's where people are asleep. This is what they want you to think. As they're putting these cities together, they want you to think it's okay. None of this is happening. I want to talk about death. So, death is just not physical. Death is not just a physical death. It's a death of our privacy. It's a death of our family. It's a death of everything that we stand for. This is the World Economics Plan is death of a nation and death of freedom and death of freedom of speech and all that kind of stuff.
That's right.
So when people say all the time, you know, it's not as bad as you're saying, they want control over everything. And I'm going to give you this as an example. We talked about it a couple of minutes ago. The government is in the death business. A family member said to me the other day that a nurse walked into his room and said, save yourself the grief, put yourself out of the misery, put your family off this roller coaster ride that they're going on. You're not going to get better. Take the MAID program.
Take the MAID program.
So
Whoa, that's a big thing to
he's
say.
a declarated veteran, and this is how they honor him.
Sad.
And this isn't the first time I've heard it. It's
Very
happening
sad.
more and more for people that are going through cancer.
Yeah.
Oh, just take the MAID program. We are doing so many MAID programs, it is crazy. Medically assisted in death. This is part of the 2030 agenda. How you deal with death, what happens during death, what happens after death. In the future, are we going to be able to cremate? Are you going to be able to bury if that's what you want? Or are they going to say, no, you can't do that anymore. It's not good for the environment. Everything is on the environment. I believe we have no environment issues. Everything's been the same as it's been for a million years.
How about a quick pitch for this? Because the story's there in plain and simple sight.
Sure.
So head over to wakeupcanadanews.com or Wake Up Canada News on Facebook, BitChute, Rumble, YouTube. We're everywhere, and you'll get a little bit of a taste as to what the 15-minute city fact or fiction is all about. You'll hear about Edmonton being implemented, Winnipeg getting ready to implement, other places as well, all across this great country of ours that I have trouble saying great in front of that sometimes. Today's one of those days, I think. So
we're going to be talking about more topics like this in the future. Powerful topics that you need to hear, that we need to talk about, that we need to have discussions about, and you need to talk to your friends and family about it.
These are tough conversations, and people don't want to have them. They're reluctant, right? They just don't understand.
And the government, the bottom line is the government wants to decide how you live, and now they also want to decide how you die.
How you die? What do you mean?
How you die. Why be a burden on society? Why be a burden on the medical system? Why should you keep the hospital beds busy when you could just take the MAID program and put yourself out of your misery? That's pretty scary.
It's very scary, Mike. That's a sad
I
situation.
believe everyone has a right to live. Everyone has a right to be loved and cared for. We need to show the people that are sick compassion and love. And the last thing a person wants to hear when they're lying on their hospital bed, maybe facing death, take the MAID program. Make it easier on yourself and your family. No, wrong. That's somebody's decision to make on their own. If Brad wants to take the MAID program because that's what he feels he needs to do in his heart, that's up to Brad. It's not up to a doctor to tell you or a nurse to tell you that you're a burden on our system, so you should leave. And we got the perfect ticket for you to leave.
And that's what it is.
And let's talk about our kids in the future. You know, people struggling with mental illness. You've heard about this. This isn't fiction, it's fact. In the near future, somebody with mental illness will be able to walk into the MAID program and take their lives. Simply sign on the dotted line and you're done. We'll put you to sleep. And people say, well, Mike, I put my dog to sleep. I put my cat to sleep. Why can't I put my dad?
No, what are you talking about?
So
Holy
do
cow.
we compare
Don't even
our
try
dogs
that.
and pets to our mothers and fathers.
No.
You know, it's really scary on what's happening. And MAID is being promoted at an all-time high. And in the near future, after they finish with the mental illness problem,
Don't get suckered into it.
you'll be able to, you're a 13-year-old kid, will be able to walk in a MAID office and say, oh, I'm struggling, you know, I'm thinking of committing suicide, I'm not well, I want to end my life.
You said my 13-year-old kid?
Your 13-year-old kid. And there's brochures out. And how do you feel about this, knowing that I call them children still, that your young child, because our kids are our kids, can walk into a MAID office and end their life just like that?
I've been told that they'll be able to walk into a counselor's office at school, and the counselor at school will be able to assist them in getting connected.
And that's right. I mean, the future is this. The future is total control. Control of our children, control of you, your lives, your houses, your vehicles, what you're going to eat, how you're going to sleep.
They don't have to tell parents either.
You don't have to tell your parents. And in a lot of countries, what they're doing in the MAID program is they're taking people's organs.
Yep.
So they're taking your organs and they're selling them.
Mm-hmm. Selling them off.
And
big money.
We need to wake up and we need to speak up.
And if you don't believe that part of it, just check out some of the videos online because they are there. There are doctors and funeral directors and nurses who are all speaking up on this topic now.
And you know what? There's more funeral directors speaking up about what they're finding in the bodies.
Absolutely there is.
At first it was me, a couple other guys talking about, well, this is what we're finding. We're finding these white stream.
Yeah, you were on NCI, weren't you?
Yeah, of course I was. And we're talking about what we're finding in the human bodies. Now embalmers from all over the world are saying, we don't know what this is. We're finding these clots that are not blood clots. Yeah. And a normal part of death is to have clots in your body, blood clots. But what we're finding now in the body is nothing towards what we used to see.
That's right.
So is there something wrong? Are we imagining? Are we lying to you? Are we being conspiracy guys because we want to be popular or famous because we told you that there's something in the body that's not?
If you know what we know, refuse to be silent. Speak up. Now is the time. You need to convince people. Well, maybe I shouldn't use the word convince. You need to educate people so that they understand. And you're not going to do it with screaming and yelling. You're not going to do it with, bribery or anything else. It's going to have to be a straight-on conversation. You're going to have to bring a little bit of proof on your cell phone with you, but it's all in your pocket.
It's shows like this where Brad and I are just talking as regular guys with families. That's why you got to share and follow the show and like it, because it's important for people to hear conversations like this. It's real conversations with real people that's happening in the province of Manitoba, in the city of Winnipeg. And this is the final thing I need to say. Really, we need to push back.
We do.
We need to push back locally. We need to push back provincially and federally.
So you see these units on the picture there, Mike.
Yeah.
These are the future homes that those wonderful guys over at Brookfield like to put up. This is one of those 15-minute cities that's already been developed in another part of the world. But
I kind of like that apartment on the top there on the left.
That'd be pretty neat, eh?
Jeez. So this is what they
want
you
packed like lemmings in tiny metal boxes.
So take a look at that. Take a look at how congested they are, how much green space has been taken away. And that's another thing I wanted to talk about. We talked about Happy Land Pool, a place where kids can go, swim, have fun, enjoy themselves.
Not anymore. Thanks,
family,
Mr. Mayor.
Family getting together and just enjoying some relaxation time, kids being able to... And then I drive around now, and what have they replaced them with? These pools that have these sprinklers that shoot water on you.
Oh, like the spray pad.
Spray pad.
Yeah.
How's that even compared to getting into a pool and swimming, or getting your whole body wet and spending hours and hours in the pool? But this is part of it. They're taking away our green space. They're taking away everything from our kids. Hey, Brad.
What?
Just let your kids sit at home on their computers.
Yeah, well.
Play video games. This way the kids know nothing. And if you've gone through a border, which I did this past weekend when I was at Buffalo Point, this is what the border looked like. When you pull up, it takes pictures of your license plate, takes pictures of your face, takes pictures of your vehicles, 100% surveillance.
And it looks like China. Oh, wait, there's a Chinese flag in that. I'm sorry.
And what's funny is, you get a passport for a reason.
Yeah.
The passport means that you can freely travel across the United States or any province or anywhere in the world. That's why you're given a passport, because they do these complex checks on you, and they make sure that you're good to travel. And then you get to the border and they take your passport and they ask you a million questions. And I said to the lady, I'm like, did I not go through this when I got this passport? Was it just a waste a piece of paper? But in the future, your passport's going to be on your right hand.
That's one of the issues in the future. How about this one? Have you seen this one yet, Mike?
World Economic Forum professor says parents will soon need a license to raise their own children. And that's happening right here, where they want to take your kids away and they want to control how they raise these children and and look at schools.
The education system's about to change. And
the
the World
education
Economic
system
Forum
is
wants
falling apart.
They want control there. Indoctrination control.
Your children will be taught, and a lot of parents have pulled their kids out of school.
Yep.
And are homeschooling now.
Absolutely. And I would have too if my kids were that young again. I'd do it in a heartbeat.
If you look at what's happening in the schools and what they're teaching these kids, these teenagers, these people, in kindergarten to grade 1 to 2, they basically are brainwashing you from a little kid to accept everything that's happening make it look normal. And that's how they win. Convenience.
So let's quickly talk about something else here, Mike. This is important. We've got to stop 15-minute cities, or at least start having discussions to stop it. But, solutions, push back locally. What do you mean by that? What can we do there?
Well, strengthen faith in communities. So something they did during COVID is they broke up communities. They broke up faith because they wouldn't allow you to go to church. They wouldn't allow you to meet your friends. They wouldn't allow you to talk with one another. Because if you talked with one another, you would know what was really going on behind the scenes. So they took that away from you. They were smart enough to do that. They took faith away from you. And when you lose faith, sometimes you lose hope.
Yep.
And a lot of people have lost faith. And a lot of people have lost hope. And a lot of people are struggling with mental illness, struggling with suicide, struggling with depression. And what do they do for us? They put you on antidepressants. They put you on antidepressants until they don't work anymore.
True story.
Community is something we need to build, meaning that we need to get together with our neighbors. We need to get together with our families.
Is this the kind of community you're talking about? Because this comes right off the World Economic Forum website.
That's a different kind of community. If you look at that community, it's a community. Look at that picture. It says it all.
Do you see any cars, Mike?
Don't see a single vehicle. I don't see any buses, but I see people walking and riding their bikes.
What are they doing out here? They're actually, it looks like they're having some sort of farmer's market here out in the garden, but we're not going to be allowed to garden either.
But you got to understand something, Brad. A lot of people like this. A lot of people think it's sustainable. It's suitable.
If you don't want to go anywhere in life, but
some people like exactly that.
Have you been to Banff?
Yes.
So had you not been to Banff, would you want to go to Banff if you've never been there?
Yes, absolutely.
You're not going to be allowed to in the future.
I know. You won't be allowed to go anywhere. But build networks rooted in truth.
Yep.
Hang around people that tell you the truth. The truth hurts a lot of times.
It does.
But it's important to hear the truth. Be closer with family, because family is all we're going to have.
Be open-minded. Be open-minded.
Open-minded. Support local businesses. Voyage Funeral Home is a local business. Most funeral homes in the province, in the city of Winnipeg, are owned by corporate identities. Big, large corporations that own thousands and thousands of funeral homes. Support alternative media.
Absolutely.
Alternative
100%.
media is where you find out the truth. So we're talking about truth. Well, alternative media tells you the truth. Don't listen to CBC and CTV and all these people that tell you nothing but what the narrative is.
If there's rallies, go out to them. Support. Get out there. Start your own rally.
Go shopping. Go shopping for your stuff at family farms. These family markets that they have. Freedom is based on services.
That's right.
Don't isolate. Get out there and organize and be safe and build a community so when things happen, you have somewhere to go.
I see a lot of people right now ordering all of their shopping goods online. They're coming to their door. They're dropping them off. They're dropping by Walmart and picking them up in the parking lot and filling them up.
Look at what's the biggest store in the world now.
Yeah.
People don't want to go to places anymore because you know what? You can get on your phone, Amazon, delivered right to your door. Let's talk about the final thing we need to do. We need to prepare spiritually in our hearts. And that's the most important thing. It's not political, it's a spiritual war.
That's right.
And the Bible warns us false peace, global rulers will deceive us. Stand on God's word, man system, pray and prepare spiritually. It's the most important thing that we could do. The Bible says, we wrestle not against flesh and blood. This is a war of souls, not just policies. And this is what it is right now. It's where's your soul going to go?
Yep.
It's our soul that's important. To be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. But where does your soul go? It depends on what you do in life. Do you believe, people watching the show, maybe you, that if you get this chip, the number of the beast, if this is what it is, that you'll make it into heaven? For God has not given us the spirit of fear, but power of love and a sound mind. Timothy says in 1:7. Closing, what will you say to your children? It's really important. What will you say to your children? One day your children will ask you, why didn't you speak up, Dad? Mom? Why didn't you fight the good fight?
Why did you let them take everything from us, Mike?
Stuff you got to enjoy when you were a child. And your children are going to ask you that one day, your grandchildren. And this is the time to stand up. This is the time to fight. This is the time to believe in your heart, have faith, trust in your neighbors, and build communities of love. Somewhere where you could go, somewhere where you can get advice, somewhere where you can have a support system, help. Church is a good place to be. And you got to watch which church to go to, because churches are changing now. Some churches are really woke.
Yeah, very much so.
And it's really scary.
Very much so.
Well, this was another edition of Ask the Funeral Director. We hope you enjoyed the show. Very educational, very lots of inspiration in this, and lots of truth. And that's what is most important of it all. God bless you and your families. Take care of yourselves and each other. Brad, thanks for being an amazing host.
Thank you, Mike.
Good night,
Great
folks.
job. Good night, everybody.